What's up everyone, Andrew Baena here, and on today's video we are taking a look at a bit of a unique guitar that normally I wouldn't pick, but Sterling insisted that I take it and I wasn't gonna say no. So this is a bit of an interesting model. This is the Albert Lee AL40P by Sterling by Music Man. Obviously it's the signature model of Albert Lee. The reason that this is not something I would normally pick is due to the spec choices. It is obviously not made for the type of music that I typically play, but that didn't stop me from tuning it down to drop G sharp anyways. So in this video I'm going to show you what this guitar sounds like in a full demo mix. We're going to talk about the specs and features, and I'm also going to show you a couple of soloed tone clips. Real quick before we get to the full mix demo in this video, I also have to mention a massive thank you to the sponsors of this video, Sweetwater. If you're somehow unfamiliar with Sweetwater, they are basically one of the largest online music gear retailers. They have pretty much any piece of music gear you can ever think of, including the lovely Albert Lee AL40P that I'm using in this video. So if you're interested in picking up one of these guitars or pretty much any other piece of musical gear you can possibly think of, please go check out the link in the description and the pinned comment below. And also anything you buy over at Sweetwater using that link actually gives me a little bit of affiliate kickback, helps me keep this channel running, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much as always to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. So you're about to hear the full demo mix. For this demo, I was playing a song called A Sad Cartoon by one of my favorite bands, LOATHE. Again, this guitar is tuned all the way down to drop G sharp, and it sounds like this. Okay, now that you've heard how the Albert Lee AL40P sounds in a full demo mix, let's talk about the specs and features of this instrument. So first and foremost, obviously you can see that this finish is the Sherwood green finish. This is the main reason, if not the only reason, that Sterling by Music Man insisted on sending this guitar over to me. They were like, hey, we know it's not really the type of specs you would normally play, but it's green, so you should have it anyways. And like I said, who am I to say no to that? Other than the color, some of the other specs of this guitar are a poplar body, which you can see there, again coated in that beautiful sort of metallic Sherwood green finish. This model has Sterling by Music Man's vintage tremolo style bridge. It has a volume and a tone knob and a three-way pickup selector, as well as two P90 style pickups. These pickups sounded way better than I thought they were going to sound. I've never really had a guitar with P90 style pickups, maybe like once or twice, and they always surprise me at how good they sound for low-tuned guitars, because that is certainly not what they were made for when they were invented and not what they're commonly used for. Moving on the fretboard, we have a rosewood fretboard with pearloid dot inlays and 22 frets. These frets are a lot smaller than I'm typically used to. I think most of my guitars usually have medium jumbo or jumbo frets. These ones are definitely on the smaller side. This guitar has a 25.5-inch scale length, so a pretty standard scale length, and of course on the back of the neck we have that awesome looking roasted maple neck. This time around, no locking tuners unfortunately, but they do have those kind of pearloid buttons up there which look really nice. And that pretty much does it for the specs and features of this instrument. Nothing too crazy going on. Like I said, it's mostly just pretty unique and not something that I would typically play, but I was pretty happy with how it sounded in the end. I really would have liked if it had locking tuners, but it's a signature model, so I guess Albert Lee didn't want that on his model. I'm not really sure why they did that. Now that I've talked about the specs and features of this instrument, I'm gonna show you how it sounds by itself. We're gonna do a high gain rhythm tone, a clean tone, and a lead tone, and all three of those sound like this. Okay, and last but not least for this video is my thoughts and opinions on this guitar. Like I said a couple times now, it's not something that I would typically go for, but I was pleasantly surprised by how it sounded. The frets being narrow is a little weird for me because, again, I am used to the medium jumbo or jumbo size frets, so it took a little while to get used to those because it feels just way smaller is the best way I could put it. 22 frets personally doesn't bother me, but I know some people are going to want those extra 2 frets. I'm not a shredder, I'm playing rhythm guitar, so it doesn't really bother me too much there. Also, like I mentioned a bit earlier, I really wish it did have locking tuners. In my opinion, every guitar should have locking tuners, again, because it makes changing strings way faster and more efficient, and I just don't see a reason why any guitar shouldn't have them at this point. I also really like the finish on this guitar. Again, that really subtle sparkle to this Sherwood green looks absolutely beautiful, and the dark green paired with the pearloid and white white materials looks really, really good as well. So all in all, not really anything negative to point out with this guitar. When I initially got it, the pickup selector was actually bent a little bit because it got dinged in shipping, but luckily the metal that is used for the pickup selector is pretty soft, so I was able to just bend it back in place, and it works perfectly fine just as it should, so no big deal in the end. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this guitar. If you're interested in learning any more about this guitar or purchasing one for yourself, again, big thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. You can find this guitar over on Sweetwater. The link to that is going to be in the description and the pinned comment below. And there's also going to be a link to Sterling by Music Man's official website in case there's any spec or feature that I didn't mention in this video. You can find that there for sure. Last but not least, I want to give a massive thank you to my Patreon members whose names are on the screen at this point in time. If you're interested in audio downloads, guitar tabs, stems, or a shout out on the screen like these lovely people here, you can find all of that over on my Patreon page, which is also linked in the description below. That's all I gotta say. Hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you next time.